I am declaring a state of emergency in my kitchen. Because I'm hungry, and I also need an excuse to make a cheap political joke. Anyway, Mongolian beef, a dish that is so popular that approximately 1/3 of all beef dishes in the entire world are descended from it, or something like that. Actually, one of my more favorite dishes to make and eat, because on a scale of bottom of the barrel, $2.99, all you can eat Chinese on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere, and high class bourgeoisie, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that word right, American Chinese food, it's somewhere in the middle, like P.F. Chang's-ish. Funnily enough, P.F. Chang's actually happens to be the most popular recipe for what we're about to make, so let's get into it. Here's what you're gonna need. Beef, or more accurately, flank steak or tenderloin, or, you know, if you're not made of money, like I am most definitely not, then you can just use pretty much whatever cut of beef that you got that has the most marbling or fat in the middle. Garlic, minced. Now, this recipe called for 2 cloves, which naturally, of course, meant that I used 7. Minced ginger and some red chili peppers. Now, if you're not sure how much spice you can actually handle from the red chili peppers, all you have to do is give it away, give it away, give it away now. Okay, I'll see myself out. 2 green onion, cut up in about, maybe about 1 inch or so pieces on a diagonal. Brown sugar, cornstarch, economy edition, rice wine, oil of some sort, chicken juice, bam! Soy sauce, which I am almost out of and will probably need to be replenishing. Also, there is a leak somewhere in this bottle. Oops. Is that it? Is that it? Is that it? Yep. So, first and foremost, in a bowl, yeah, I don't know what ingredients you put in a bowl. You're also gonna need measuring utensils, which are somewhere in this kitchen. Aha! Now, in your bowl, you're going to want to put 2 or 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon cornstarch, and 1 tablespoon rice wine. And, well, obviously, of course, the meat. I wouldn't recommend skipping this step, but this is a step known as velveting. It makes the beef super, super tender. If you're running low on time, you can literally just set this in a marinade and then, you know, forget all about it, like my parents. Never mind. All right, 30 minutes later, this is, well, it looks exactly the same as it did before. You can take some cornstarch, some more, just enough to about coat the rest of it if it's not already coated, and then do some completely ineffective mixing that will just result in you trying a bunch of different things and eventually just really getting your hands dirty. All right, it has been sufficiently dredged if you use my definition of dredged as loosely coated. So let's go cook it. Take your wok, set it on high, wait for it to get hot. You're gonna wanna dump in about 1/3 of a cup of oil, just enough to have like a layer of beef laid across this way. A little bit of smoke coming from here. I'm sure that's of no consequence whatsoever. Anyway, the goal is to wait for the oil to get to the point where it almost starts to smoke. This may take a while, so ow. It's about getting to that point, so if you want to, you can take a small piece and drop it in. And if it immediately begins to sizzle like that, that means you know you are exactly where you need to be. So you drop in the rest of the pieces, making sure that you spread them out nice and, well, spread out. Nice layer. You definitely want to do it in batches so that you don't lower the temperature of the oil too much. Let that sit there for about a minute or so. While you're doing that, get ready a receptacle to hold your stuff in. So, plate, paper towel. No, the fan is blowing it away. After about a minute or so on one side, you're going to want to flip it. See that nice little char? That's exactly what you want. Of course, you would also want to hold on to the handle. You're only going to want to cook it on this side for about 30 seconds or so, making sure that the oil doesn't splatter everywhere. Ow! Ow! The goal right now is to give it a sort of char so that we can finish cooking it later, and then it'll be perfectly cooked by the time that we throw all the rest of the ingredients in it. Right now we just want that char, so we should probably take it out, draining as much of the oil as we possibly can. The alcohol that we drank earlier means that the splattering oil on my hands is reduced to a tiny, numbing little tingle. Repeat the process until you have cooked all of your beef. Once your beef is done cooking, you can take some more paper towels and pat it down if you want, just to kind of get rid of all of the extra grease, if you please, and I do please. Set that aside for now. Take your wok full of hot oil and drain all but about 1 tablespoon of it. Very, very carefully. Oh boy. You're gonna want to lower the heat to about medium-high or so, because you definitely do not want to burn the ingredients you spent so long preparing. Garlic, dump it in. Oh, that smells good. Move this around for, a couple seconds or so just for the oil to pick up the aromatic aroma from the, I guess I could have just said aroma. Oh well. Add your ginger and your chili peppers. Stir that around some as well for about like 30 seconds or so that the chili peppers really get that aroma in there. Add about 1/4 of a cup of soy sauce and the same amount of chicken stock or broth or juice, whatever it is that you have. I just kind of eyeballed it because, let's be real, I'm hungry and I want this in my mouth now. Title of your sex tape. Bring this sauce to a simmer, and you're gonna wanna add about 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Especially important that your heat is not on anything higher than about medium high. I have it on about like a 6.5 out of 10 because sugar will burn very easily. And if you let the sugar burn, then your entire dish will taste like Pompey's rectum. Once you think all of the sugar has dissolve 1 teaspoon-ish of cornstarch in roughly the same amount of water. Probably not. Mix it in well, you know the drill. Now the goal is to get this to start to thicken before you put in the meat. Somehow dump all of your, oh God, backsplatter. Dump your green onions in and mixy mix. Once you've stirred this around a little bit, the goal here is to kind of reduce this to a form, I guess, of where you no longer have any more residual remaining liquid that's on the bottom. This is definitely at a point where the glaze is sticking very well. You can turn the heat off. If you are at a point this current point in time where you have perhaps added way too much water, you can basically turn up the heat and let it sit there for a minute as you let the cornstarch slurry do its work and thicken it up a little bit. But the end goal is to make sure that you do have an end product that looks something like this, where you don't have a lot of liquid. And then serve it over really whatever it is that you want. All right, if you like my videos, do me a favor, like, share, follow, subscribe, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Cheers to you. Let's see how it tastes. Utensils. Son of a mother. It is super tender. I thought that deep frying it in all that cornstarch business on top of it was going to make it super crunchy, but it is not. Could be a little more spicy, but I like spicy stuff. Maybe you don't, and that's your prerogative. Obviously, try not to eat the red peppers, or maybe do if that's what you're into. But yeah, that's Mongolian beef. It was great. It's super tasty, as always, somehow. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye. Dish that's so popular that it actually won the nope, that's not the line. 2 or 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. Cornstarch, that is not cornstarch, that is soy sauce. Yeah. What do I do next? What do I do next? What do I do next? I don't know.